He said 11:30. I sent him the message. I don't know. What is up, sports fans? We are back for another episode of Brotherly Love here on the Fantasy Sports Corporation. I'm your host, Stephen Rochelle. To the right of me is Philadelphia Eagles former left tackle, the big man himself, Mr. Trey Thomas. Trey, how are we feeling today?
I'm fantastic, man. How's everything going?
I mean, we could be doing better here, right? It's been a rough few weeks for Eagle sports fans. Obviously, after a good 10-week start, you know, after everything was said and done, almost completely through this gauntlet, I think we didn't do too bad, right?
What do you mean? We didn't do too
As far
bad?
as records go, I mean, obviously the last two games were abysmal, right?
Yeah, I thought that the last two games was not good. You come out there and San Fran comes into your house, and you knew it was going to be a tough matchup with all of the trash talk that was going on. For San Fran to come in and just whoop them the way they did, that wasn't that left a bad taste in my mouth, especially going into the Dallas game. You thought that, okay, San Fran came in there and put a whooping on them. All right, you get ready to go to Dallas. You're hoping that there's going to be a bounce back game. But to watch the way Dallas just drove down the field in that first series just made it look like light work.
It was. I mean, I mean, obviously, both Philadelphia fans and Philadelphia media is always hard on this team. Win, lose or draw. It's kind of the staple of what it is. But you're right, man. It was a bit different. It wasn't just a loss. It was how those losses were. You had opportunities to stay with a for punch, and you didn't execute properly. You turned the ball over, etc. in both games. Where you left a lot of points on the field where you could have given yourselves chance to play differently and go about it in a different way, and they didn't just execute. It wasn't just getting beat; it was how they were getting beat too.
Yeah, I mean, exactly how it was getting beat. I mean, it just seems like both those teams took the fight to the Eagles, and that's not what you want to see, especially when you got a team that you're trying to get into the Super Bowl with. You want to see them come in there and at least answer back, and to me, it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like when Bosa came out there and he said, all right, you know what, we gave them the recipe, gave teams the recipe on how to beat the Eagles. I thought that, yeah, but I think also you even go back to the Jets game. I think the Jets really are the ones that showed the recipe, how you go out there and you take the fight to them. You don't sit back on your heels. If you see run, you go and attack it. Linebackers have to be physical and play downhill, and you take away those other options. And man, what's good with you, Luther? How you feeling, my brother?
What's up, dude? Go ahead, keep spitting, because I'm enjoying that. Enjoying that.
Yeah, well, I'm just, it's just that you see how the team just, they just came out there and were just out physical, and it was a game that you thought that, with all the trash talking that was going on in this game, for you to fold like that, it just was not good.
Yeah, it was hard to look at, man. I'm so glad I'm hearing this coming from you. I'm overly critical because those are my guys. Like, people say I'm pessimistic because I'm always, even through the first 10 weeks, I had issues, man. There were so many things that were, and I'm like, man, our glass slipper is about to break. It's great that they're resilient and they don't give up and they're winning close games, but Miami dropped two touchdowns. Dallas stepped on the out of bounds going into the end zone to score. They had the ball at the 6-yard line at first down. They screwed that up. Kansas City dropped a touchdown. Buffalo, Cook's brother, not Cook's brother. He's himself. James Cook dropped a touchdown.
Mhm.
Listen, we won the games. I'm not crying about a W, but it was so close every week. And how many times have I complained about the offensive scheme, Stephen?
Mhm.
It's like we're doing so much difficult stuff, and people are killing Jalen for his lowered completion percentage. But that's what happens when you're 5, 7 step drop every time. Your quarterback's getting murdered, and you don't help the lineman by maybe shortening some drops every now and then. Get us some 3 step stuff. Get us some regular running back screens.
Yeah.
Let them fly up the field.
You know what?
It's some little things.
So when I look at the screen game, let's just talk about the screen game real quick. Like that was something that we were really good at during our tenure. We
Really
were
good
really
at
good
it.
at it. But now I think that just across the board, though, I think defensive linemen have gotten a lot more craftier with sniffing out that screen. You just look at how D linemen kind of react to, oh, here, you know what? I feel like I'm winning too easy. Where's the running back? And they break to the running back. Now, one of the things that I look at because of course we're going to be always a little bit more critical because we look at it through a player's eyes. And like you say, you know what I'm saying? Like you're looking at some of the stuff where it's like, okay, you're finding a way to win, but you can't really criticize it because they're finding ways to win. And if you do criticize it, then you're labeled a hater. But
Correct.
man, there are so many things that you look at when you talk about just even protection issues. All right. You go back and you look at Dallas and what Dallas was doing. Right after that sack that Lane gave up where Patterson just came in, gave him a bull rush. All the defensive ends are doing is bull rushing. And anytime you sit up there and you catch and you allow a defensive end to climb into your chest, offensive tackles are in charge of keeping the width of the pocket. You see what I'm saying? So anytime that width of the pocket collapse, Jalen Hurts likes to circle out of it. He very rarely, now you started seeing after the San Fran game, all before the San Fran game, he would always circle out of the back of the pocket, circle out
Right
of it.
side every time.
Yes, but then he started having to get upfield and try to make some noise there. But a lot of times you just saw like our deep offensive tackles, they're catching, and then when you catch, you're going to give up ground with the bull rush, and the pocket collapses, and then they just funnel him in. And that's one of the things that I thought San Fran did a really good job of. Yeah, they didn't get all the sacks, but they corralled him.
Yes, they kept
They
him
kept him in the
contained.
pocket.
They
And then
kept
if you
him
get
in
to
it.
scrambling out the pocket, and then now you throw something wild, and that was a problem. I feel like our offense, when you look at the way San Fran's offense is, when you look at the way Miami's offense is, like when I do the film study on that, I make sure I saved all of those clips just because I like the motions, the way they set up, the way they screen.
We don't do anything. We're stagnant. We don't try to get a picture of what the defense is doing.
Mhm.
We just sit in our stuff and run our stuff, and it's almost like we're running. You look out there and it looks like the second week of training camp. It looks basic as hell.
Yeah.
It looks like what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what it looks like, and I'm a huge Clemson fan. It looks like Clemson currently trying to do what they did 8 years ago when they had generational court when they had Deshaun and
Mhm.
Trevor, and then you have Mike Williams, D Hop, all those wideouts where they out talented you, right?
Wait,
So
wait,
Clemson kept running the same stuff without the talent. The Eagles
yeah.
are saying looks like they're saying we're just going to out talent you. We're going to beat you down the field. We're not scheming anything up, and teams are just adjusting. And
Yeah.
it just seems like we aren't making a lot of adjustments on the fly either, Trey. What
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I think it's spot on. I mean, when you look at even with this game here against Dallas, all right, you did a couple little motion plays, but it kind of was like you did it just to say, "Hey, look, we threw some motions in the game plan." You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Yes.
we
Yes.
we motion Swift out of the backfield, and then we run a quarterback sweep to the left, or you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So it looked like it was more of a forced thing. And now I'm almost like, okay, they say, all right, can you start to implement that really? Because that has to be part of your DNA. There's so
Yes,
much timing and all of that and spatial awareness that has to happen. That's something that has to start in
week
minicamp.
one and mini camp and training camp, you're not doing that week 15.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to sprinkle some things in now, but you're not going to all of a sudden become the 49ers. You're
Yeah.
not going to run the 49ers stuff with all that motion. It's like we're not even checking pre-snap. We're saying we're getting our pre-snap reads from the formation of the defense and maybe some things that they're showing on film, but there's no motion from the wide outside to side to see, all right, there and man. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that safety looked like he's in cover two, but he's staying there. They're doing something. They're doing
Mm-hmm.
something because that safety is still there. We're doing a lot of that. And it's frustrating to also to watch us just pass, and then all of a sudden say, "All right, we're down 20. Let's try to get the run game going and get us a score." And then
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
weird. It seems like
The
they're
bounce
going
has been terrible
backwards.
too.
Yeah.
All
If
the
they
losses, the bounce has been terrible.
Yeah, it did because well, for me, and everybody always feel like an offensive lineman loves to run the ball. I love pass protection. That was where I struggled as a run blocker. You know what I'm saying? Like I was better at pass protection, so I was always better if we called two jet. All right, cool. That was way better for me than if I got to go run outside zone and I got to take that defensive end by myself. I always struggled with run. I preferred pass, but I felt like we kind of got away from some of those same side inside zone runs that was working earlier in the season. It seems
Yes.
now with some of the run game, if the running back is to the left, we're running it to
Run
the
it
right.
to the left. Yes, opposite.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It is always going to be opposite. And then when you look at some of the protection issues, like I was talking, I did get back. So after that sack with Lane, the very next play, they sent 7. You know what I'm saying? So they were like, you know what? They sent the running back out of the field. So they said, all right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring both these linebackers, which now, once the running back gets out of the backfield, you're in man protection. So that means that the offensive tackle, one of those tackles got to be on a dual read. So if Kelsey says, all right, I'm going right, then now that puts Jordan Mailata on the dual read. So now they brought the linebacker over the left side in. It made Jordan Mailata have to step down in there. And then now you got a defensive end just taking a free hit on Hurts.
Hit, yeah.
And I mean, you saw it several times in the game where if that back left, they're like, you know what? We ain't covering the back. Don't even worry about it.
You know why, Trey? Because I love Jalen. People are getting on him or whatever. Jalen does a terrible job of hitting the check down. You see other teams, especially against us, we send someone, they hit the check down and they get 6, 7 yards. We're going to hold that ball and try to get a big play every time. That comes from repetition and coaching. You got to tell him, look, I don't care if it's 3rd and 15. You can't take this hit. They've got a free guy. That's your hot guy. Maybe you get off the field. Maybe you punt. Maybe he makes a play. But you can't take a sack, take these hits and these fumbles. Like some of the times, that's where we're getting the turnovers. We've got to coach up better to get the ball out quicker to our hot reads as well.
Okay, so this is another thing I want to touch because I was talking to Todd about this the other day when we did our segment Between the Vines. You know how practices are when you go out there on the field. It's all about, hey, all right, good job. We're getting the ball out. We're on time. The first read is always there in practice. That big throw is always there in practice, and you feel like, hey, it's always there.
It's going to be there.
Hey, and everybody and the main thing about practice is that, hey, man, we didn't have any balls on the ground. Hey, good job, guys. We did a good job. The scout team is not trained to take that first read away or trained to take the first 2 reads away and to make the quarterback to actually get to that 3rd read. A lot of times practice is all about, hey, man, we want to keep the spirits up. Let's clap it up. Good job. We didn't have a ball touch the ground. We had an awesome practice today. Energy levels are high. Instead of saying, all right, you know what, scout team, take that first read away, take that second read away, and force them to get to the 3rd read. Because a lot of times quarterbacks, they throw to the first read and then they mentally go through that 1, 2. You've seen them go through that where they don't have the ball in their hand and they just go through the stepping of it where it's like, all right, that's my 2nd read, that's my 3rd read. But you already threw the first read. So you get in that rhythm all the time. And now I feel like a lot of times when you look at our receivers and you say, all right, we don't have the checkdowns, man, I see us, they get a full blitz. And I'm like, well, okay, which one of the receivers are going to say, you know what, I'm the hot responsibility? Let me break off this route.
That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily the back, but the hot responsibility.
Yeah.
Where are our hot where are our hot responsibilities? You got when they're sending 7, that means you're giving your skill guys an opportunity to be one-on-one with someone in the open field. Give them the ball and let them do some work. You see everyone doing it against us, partially because we suck at tackling. Let's just be honest. That's another problem. But give them the ball in the open field. Give them the opportunity to beat someone one-on-one. Maybe we get the first down. Maybe we get off the field. But as long as we're not getting our quarterback free hits.
But I feel like sometimes as receivers, I'm like, all right, you know what? You got to be in tune to the game and see, like, all right, you know what? Hey, I got that blitzer just came. I'm the hot read. Mm-hmm. Who is training that? You know what I'm saying? So who's responsible for that? Because I know when you get out there on the edges, that's a totally different world from what I'm used to dealing with. So I'm just saying, like, sometimes you got to say, you know what? I can't run this 20-yard route right now because there's a blitzer coming. All right, I need to shut it down, find my way in the zone, break it off. Instead of, you see the full blitz coming and all you see are the backs of the receivers because they running 20-yard routes down the field.
What that tells me, Trey, is that they don't the hots aren't built in, or the backs are the hot, and we're not. Listen, I remember we played the Giants, and mm-hmm. John Fox was their defensive coordinator, and they were running something every time where that opposite side safety mm-hmm. was acting like he was in cover 2, and he had to come opposite to the inside, the most inside receiver. We were in trips. I was in the slot. They were in that formation, and Donovan is looking around. He looked at me. I know I'm hot. Andy's got it in my head the entire mm-hmm. week.
Yeah.
And they came off the ball, and it was Sean Williams from UCLA, and he was late. So he was sprinting full speed to get to me, and Donovan threw it to me hot.
Yeah.
And I feel like my ribs are still on the field in the vet because he blew me up. He killed me.
Hey.
But I say that to say this. You've got to have the hots built in, and you got to know. We knew who the hots were. And listen, if I got that ball a half second sooner and make a step, there's no one else because they're a man-to-man. And you see other teams do it all the time. Mm-hmm. Get the ball out to the hot guy. He breaks one tackle. It's house. Or a big play. It's frustrating to see us so bogged down on offense the past 2 weeks. Listen, we hadn't stopped. We're talking about offense right now. We hadn't stopped anybody defensively. We went about 12 straight drives giving up a score. That's a different mm-hmm. story. But the offense isn't helping, Trey. We're getting off the field. We're not. We're going 3 and out, or we're getting one first down to drive. Like what are we doing here? What's going on? I don't see any creativity. I don't see a lot of adjustments. It's just, I'm couch coaching, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah. And then, now defensively, man, when you go back on the other side of the ball, okay. So when I watch the game, I sit there with a stopwatch and I time every throw. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, when I time every throw, that tells me a lot. You know what I'm saying? So the average pass player is going to take anywhere between 1.8 to 2.4 seconds. You know what I'm mm-hmm. saying? So that's if it's a 3-step, between a 3-step and a 7-step drop, even though nobody really does 7-step drops anymore. Everybody's in gun.
Because they're always in the gun.
Yeah, everybody's in the gun. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? But that's it's just you holding the ball a little longer. Mm-hmm. But, that's the average time. So if I see that the quarterback is getting rid of the ball under 2 seconds, then that tells me that coverage needs to be up a little bit more. You need to challenge. You need to challenge the receivers so that you can give your defensive line a little time to get there.
A little bit of time, Trey. We're all 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6, we're 8 yards off coverage, 10 yards off coverage. The linebackers are way off at the even when we're blitzing. Let's go back, Steven, to the Washington game when we let them tie the game in overtime. What did I say? I said, it's 4th and goal. Why are we in the end zone? Every DB is lined up in the end zone. They just threw the ball at the front of the goal line. What? Mm-hmm. What are we doing on third and long? We're 10 yards off. On third and 8, we're 10 yards off. On third and 3, we're 10 yards off. They're just getting. We don't get off the field. This defense is a shell of what it's been.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on here, man. It's like watching it. It's me watching the game when my wife sits there and says, why aren't we pressuring their receivers? I know something's wrong. My wife
Yeah.
isn't that huge of a football person. She's like, why are we letting their receivers just walk into their routes wide open?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what can we do here? What can we do? Listen, we're not a bad team,
No, not at
right?
all.
You are what your record says you are, and we all know that.
Yeah.
But going
And right now,
forward,
they're 10-3. They're 10-3,
right
which
now,
is
they still
good.
have the record in the league. They can run the table and go 14-3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not sitting here calling this team terrible, but we're being realistic. There are
Yeah.
some glaring holes that needs to be patched, and can we patch that in the next 4 weeks? Can we
And,
do that in the next 4 weeks?
and this is the problem that I find, especially with it being this point in the season, you're not going to have those physical practices anymore that's
No.
probably needed. You know what I'm saying? Where
No.
you need to train those linebackers. Because to me, I feel like our linebackers are a little too passive. They don't come downhill. You know
They're
what
a
I'm saying?
lot too
Like,
passive, Trey. You're being
I,
nice.
I watched when I go back and I watched the all 22. I felt like there were times when the linebackers just should have came downhill, crushed that play right on spot. But it seems like they're kind of just still shuffling right there in the hole.
Right
And
there.
it's like, man, just come down, just go, because
Just
it's not.
go. Make them. You can't have them have a straight line. Even if you just fire and miss, you're letting the other guys get there. But they're
Exactly.
not firing, Trey. The Debo Samuel touchdown, the long run.
Oh, man.
We just stood there, Trey. We just stood there at the linebacker position, and we didn't make him make any adjustments, make any cuts. He just ran straight. It's like, what are we doing here? Like,
No.
it's
And that all fell on the stats said that all fell on Nicholas Morrow too. And that was the game that Cunningham went down too, right? So we had it was when we had Morrow and Christian Elias out there for that game.
Yeah,
you still have to do better, but at the same time, like you can't have Nicholas Morrow covering Debo Samuel in those situations.
Well, you can. He's not covering him. He's in a zone. We're saying he's got to fire. We're not saying he's not lined up on him man to man. We're saying you're a linebacker and you're in zone coverage.
Put him in that situation. They immediately
wait. What situation where you're in the situation they put him in is you're in a zone and you have to come up and tackle. Yes, you absolutely put him in that situation. He's not man to man on the corner. He's the middle linebacker. There's a screen that runs right by him. That's your job. Bottom line is whether he's a good player or not, Trey has a point. They're not firing. They're standing here flat-footed, waiting for the ball. Listen, even if I'm the linebacker and I'm terrible, I'd be a terrible linebacker. What Trey is saying is, Luther, we know you're our 8th string linebacker. Fire. We want you firing at the guy and making him adjust. We don't want you standing here and then getting a foot race because I'm not catching him. We want you firing. They're not aggressive at all. I'd rather see aggressive mistakes than passive mistakes. I think that's what Trey is saying.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree on that. I just can't disagree with anything he said.
And then when it comes to the pass rush, okay, so like I love Josh Sweat, what he's doing. I love Reddick, what he's doing, just because these guys are very athletic, and it's hard to critique them just because they have the numbers. But here's my only critique about them. They always line up the same way. You know what I'm saying? I was trained, Juan always trained us to count steps. Wow. So I didn't, we didn't look at the shoulders of defensive ends. We looked at their stance because we knew by their stance where we were going to make contact. And I think that's what helped us as protectors. And one of the things I feel about our defensive ends, they always line up the same. They always have their inside foot back. And when you always have your inside foot back, you're always going to make contact at the same point, which makes it a lot easier for tackles to deal with you. Now, Sweat almost beat Swift with that one little hand clip where he cleaned his hand, but he was just there a little late because there was a big pass that went down the left side of the field. But Smith was off. It was bad technique on his behalf because he set him at a 45, which he should have done when you're first in a defensive end with his inside foot back. But he threw his outside hand first, which was a huge mistake. And I mean, Sweat cleaned it and got by him. But, to me, I feel like you need to change your stance sometimes because then now you can bring that move at a different pace where it's not always 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you need that 1, 2 where it's coming in where you can bring that quick bull rush on the second step, or you can just change it up a little bit. To me, I find that our guys are always in the same stance, which means they're going to make contact at the same spot, and it makes it a lot easier for tackles to deal with.
Guys, you're listening to a former All-Pro offensive tackle telling you the things that would have affected him in protection. Yeah. I can't tell you that. I couldn't pass Brock to save my life. I could run a route. But you're listening to this guy say something like hear it. Hear this. Yeah. We're fans now, and we say a lot of things. Listen to what he's saying, man. It makes so much sense to me. Listen to what he's saying.
You already hear it. You're hearing it from the media. The guys are sitting there saying they're getting too predictable on both sides of the ball. So what Trey's saying is spot on from what you're hearing, even from the guys in the locker room. They need to get out of being predictable in the offenses and the defense.
Okay, so when it comes to the predictability thing, because I heard that, and so I got up about 4:00 this morning because I'm like, all right, you know what? When I heard that, I'm like, man, that just kept ringing in my head, and it woke me up out of my sleep. And I went in and I turned on the all 22 because the first thing I wanted to look at is, okay, who's giving it away in their stands? You know what I'm saying? And you see a lot of times when you talk about offensive line play, every now and then you see it from Jordan Mailata and both Lane Johnson. Their stances get a little balanced. And whenever your stances get a little balanced, run is coming. Mm-hmm. If it's a little bit more staggered, pass is coming. You know what I'm saying? I was going to do a whole film breakdown on this because I was like, man, all right, so when they say, okay, you know what? It's becoming predictable. Well, all right, you know what? Sometimes when you line up, you don't necessarily know what the play is coming, but what gives you a key? Stances all the time, man. Right. Offensive lineman, that's one of the things that you have to drill all the time. You cannot let it slide because it will become a habit. And a lot of times, even when I was working with Coach Stoutland way before, that was one of the things I would go back and watch on film and like, all right, you know what? Hey, hold on. He's giving away if it's run or pass based off his stance. And especially when you have tackles that play the whole game in a 2-point stance, the only time they get down in a stance is when they run into brotherly shove. Other than that, you know what I'm saying? They're up in a 2-point, so when it's run, sometimes they get a little bit more balance and with their outside foot, they bring their outside foot up a little bit more. It's a little bit more balanced. But when it's pass, it's
muted. Hey, Trey, I think you're muted right now.
No, still not it. Now, after technical difficulties, we are back.
All right. Yeah, man. So I'm just enjoying a glass of wine, man. Some breakfast wine today.
Breakfast wine. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, breakfast wine, man. From William Heritage. So one of the vineyards that we went to yesterday for our William Heritage. This right here is their BDX Blanc. So, just one of the vineyards that we went to yesterday and just did our Between the Vines. It's in Mullica Hill. So just one of the vineyards that Todd and I go to, man, to go do our Between the Vines, man, kick back and drink a little wine and talk football, man.
That's Harriman's?
Awesome. Yeah. Todd Harriman's, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's so
Todd,
I need to
There you
start
go.
yeah,
listening to that.
yeah. Todd Harriman's
Well,
and I, man, we go to different venues around over between New Jersey and PA every week. And we just try to showcase the different venues that are around. It's in the area. And we just learn wine, man, and talk football.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
How long
So
you been doing? How long you and Trey been doing that now?
how long Todd and I have been doing it?
Yeah.
We've been we started it maybe, I don't know, man, you got old football players, man. We did it like late in the season. We was like, man, hey, you want to do something? Like, all right, cool. I think we were like 3-4 games in. And we're like, all right, man, let's go ahead and get started, man. So we went out we've been to probably, I think, 7 or 8 vineyards so far. So it's been really cool, man. Really, really cool experience.
That's a good idea.
Just travel the New Jersey and PA wine trail and just explore some of these different areas, man. It's been a really awesome experience.
Yeah, that's good, man. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
Couldn't ask for a better way to do it, right? And
Yeah.
Have a few, a little wine, little
Yeah, a little wine, man.
little football.
Yeah, talk a little football, man. Drink some wine and just relax, man. It's been really, really cool experience.
Are you guys gonna get to a point where maybe you guys do it live somewhere or something, or is it gonna still kind of be on your guys' platform right now?
I don't know about doing live, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you start doing stuff live, man, there's a whole other dynamic that comes with that. I think when you do something live, you got to be a lot more scripted, and like by the time we have a couple glasses, man. Ain't no telling,
They ain't no telling what
we get to be a couple bottles in. Ain't no telling what's gonna happen. We just be going. Right. By that time, we're flowing, and
that's the point. Everything closed.
That makes it a fun show.
Live is good. That's what it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
being live doesn't necessarily mean we have to be on like TV or anything. I'm just saying
live and live.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, we're cool.
Listen, I know you always have fun talking football and talking Todd. Definitely would love to get Todd on here with the four of us and catching up. On each other's shows and whatnot. But I want to get your thoughts on Monday night. Obviously, they got punched in the mouth twice. They got to go out there with Seattle, who's been reeling a bit. They're in a lot more of a desperate situation. Do you feel that they bounce back this week? Ugly win, solid win. However you have it, do you feel they have what it takes to beat Seattle right now?
Listen, we say Seattle has been real. You say Seattle has been real, and wins and losses matter. Wins and losses matter. You're right, but Seattle was one. What's number 16 from Seattle? The little guy whose dad played for the Patriots. The wideout. The wideout.
DK Metcalf.
No, his dad did play in the league too. The little wideout who never drops a pass. He had a drop in the fourth quarter against Dallas. And last week they played the Niners without their starting quarterback, and they were in that game.
Without Geno.
Geno.
Yeah.
We need to God, what is his name? Oh, it's killing me. His dad played for the Patriots. But Seattle at home is going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's never an easy game.
There are no easy games. You can come down here and play the Panthers, and it'll be tough enough. But I feel like, but Seattle, people thinking, all right, we've played the gauntlet, and we were 5-2, and now we're going down the stretch. This thing ain't over yet, bro.
No.
Seattle is going to be a problem at home.
That's a hard trip. That's
a hard trip.
Like once you got a 5.5-hour flight to get out to Seattle. So I don't know if they have, because under Chip Kelly rule, like he had them fly out the night before the game. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if they fly out 2 days before, like we would usually do when we did a West Coast trip. You know what I'm saying? So, that Seattle flight, it's not easy, man. And then like the 12th man is no joke. You know what I'm saying?
Man is no joke, bro. It's Monday night. It's the only game on. They're going to be.
It's going to be loud. It's going to be a loud stadium. That's probably one of the loudest stadiums I've played in. Besides when we played the Rams at one time.
The
You know, in the
Rams
playoffs.
and the Saints. That
Yeah,
stadium in New Orleans.
yeah.
Tyler
When you in a
Lockett. That's his
dome,
name. Tyler
yeah,
Lockett. I just
yeah,
remembered. Tyler
well,
Lockett. Goodness
yeah.
gracious. I
When you're in
couldn't
a
remember his
dome,
name.
you know, it's
When you're in the
always a
dome,
little loud, but that's an open field, man, and I mean, it gets loud,
loud.
dude, you
Yeah.
know.
I've
So of
never
course you go.
played in there, and I've just heard the horror stories
Yeah,
from
it's
my
loud
boys who
there.
play line.
And
Yeah.
then, you know, because that means now you're back on silent count again. So,
Mm.
yeah, because
And for you guys out there at tackle, silent count. I mean, come on, dude.
all right,
That's a difficult freaking job, man.
okay, all right. So I don't even know if people are ready for this because you can't critique certain people. All right, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like I love Kelsey. I love Kelsey. I love him as a player, but at times he is very sporadic with his rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all on his head movement, and you can see in the last game how many two false starts you had. You had two false starts. You had
Two
Lane
false starts.
and you had Jordan Mailata jump twice. Now,
Yes.
what I don't like about their silent count is that these guys are watching the ball. They're not watching Kelsey's head movement. They're watching the ball. And as a tackle, you never want to see the ball snap. That's why when you see them kick, it's always that really big first kick. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
they're watching the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like when we did it, I thought like Jamal kept a smooth rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So I would look out at the defensive end first, and then I'm looking in at Jack. And then once he looks to the left, and then I know once his head starts turning, I was used to the rhythm enough to like all I had to see was his head start turning, and then boom, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Because I know once he gets back to the middle, he's snapping the ball. I feel like at times like Kelsey is a little sporadic where he'll just look. It's too quick sometimes. You know, where I think that the tackles are always find themselves watching the ball snap, then that could be a problem. You know,
I
I
think
don't. You know,
that's fair. You're right. You know, it's hard to being in Philadelphia and you want to go out and criticize Kelsey, right? That's fair. You're not being unfair right there. You're coming
Mhm.
from a place of
I don't
experience.
I, I don't think he's wrong either because you could see some of the snaps where Jalen's sitting there having to move, stretch, and reach to go grab things. So it's fair to say that Jason is being a bit sporadic, even though a lot of people wanted him back. Like this is one of the things like maybe where he felt like he was falling off and did want to retire last year.
well, you know what, man? I think Kelsey
I
is still
mean,
an animal. I think
yeah,
he's still a really
he's
good
still
player.
great, but
You know,
to Trey's point, he's specifically talking about handling that silent count,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
when
I
you're
know what you
not
mean.
consistent with when you're snapping the ball, not the actual snap. Trey is out there on the edge, silent count, loud stadium. You've got to be able to have a rhythm.
Yeah.
They've got to be able to have a rhythm, or your quarterback is going to be in danger all night.
And,
So
and this is another thing that I noticed too when they go silent count. And this is a unique thing. Man, we've been going for a long time. My bad, man. You know what I'm saying? I got to start. I got a painting I got to work on in a little bit. But when when you're talking about silent count here, this is a thing that kind of still, and this is what's unique about this offensive line, is that you have three centers on the inside of this line. You know what I'm saying? With Cam, you got
Cam,
Kelsey, and then you got Landon Dickerson. All three of those
Landon,
guys play
centers.
center. You know,
Yes.
so all three of them make calls. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
sometimes I'm looking and I see Kelsey with his head down, and he's just waiting for Landon to tap him. But you got Landon out there making the calls, making the points as
Calls.
well.
Hmm.
So I'm like, well, Kelsey, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You're sitting
multiple.
there in the stands looking up. Make the call. Why is Landing looking back and then come back, point, and then tapping you? You know what I'm saying? Like to me, sometimes I feel like, who's making the calls here
Calls.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and I think that sometimes you might have too many guys making calls. So, because the tackles can point and that's one of the things that Coach Stoutland, he gives guys freedom. If you see it, then say it. But, sometimes it gets where you have too many chefs in the kitchen where it only needs to be coming from one.
Hmm.
But, that's just my old
That's a
school
good point.
mindset. But anyway.
Yeah, we speaking of retiring and age, we're getting a little long in the tooth in that secondary, aren't we?
Okay. I'm about to say we. I thought you were saying me, as in me and you.
Oh no, no,
Uh,
no.
I'm still young, man. I feel vibrant, dog. You know.
Man, I turned 49 a couple weeks ago. I feel good,
Oh,
bro.
oh, so I'm older than you then, because
You're
I turned
older than me.
yeah, because I turned 49 November 20th. When was your birthday?
November 30th.
Oh, okay, all right then.
Yes,
So
we're
I
10
got you
days
by a couple of
apart.
days.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Well, happy birthday to you, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Happy birthday, brother.
Welcome to 49.
Yes, we're on our 50th circle right now.
Yeah. We
Hand
getting there.
clap. We're
Yeah.
getting
I'm
there. I
Absolutely.
mean, I
not
just
Absolutely.
got a
behind
little
y'all.
bit of gray,
My
you
two,
know.
Yeah.
my
Nah.
two
Don't
You know
parents
feel
what?
good.
43 on the 27th too. So
Hey,
Oh,
happy
okay.
birthday, man.
Yeah. Happy
Shoot.
birthday to you too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
we
man.
all
But
got birthdays around the same day. It's great.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, everybody was Valentine's babies. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
that's
yeah,
what
You
I
know what
said.
I'm
yes.
saying?
That's it. Yeah,
You know what was going on. That's awesome,
yeah,
man. You know,
Exactly.
yeah.
let that settle in. You know,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah. Let that settle in. We were Valentine's babies. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Yeah.
man.
The
Damn,
three of us.
damn
Yeah,
it.
Our
yeah,
parents knew what time it
yeah.
was.
You know what time it was?
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah.
Listen,
Came with a box
I
of
got,
chocolates and some roses and dove right on
that's
in,
it.
and then here we
Listen,
are.
I got four siblings. My parents only did it like five times. That's it. That's it.
That's what you put it in your mind. You don't want
That's,
to.
that's it. That's it.
That's what you tell. That's what you tell yourself to cope
That's what
with
I
life.
tell myself to cope with it. That's
Oh
just,
man.
Yeah.
like, I can see my son right now. Granny, no, not that
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
Granny,
absolutely.
no, why?
Oh man, yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah, man.
What a
That's
time. What
Cool,
a
funny.
man.
time. All right,
Yeah.
Trey, you know how I normally do this when we wrap things up. Throw that proverbial microphone over to you, brother. Anything you would like to say? Tell everyone where to keep up with the with Trey and the In Between the Vine podcast with
Yeah,
you and Mr. Harriman's. Shoot out your
yeah,
socials and anything else you're working
yeah.
on. Let the
It's
people
real
know
simple.
now.
It's
Time is yours.
Between the Vines with Trey and Todd. It's on YouTube, and man, I ain't hard to find on social media. I mean, just like everybody else, everybody got an at. It's at Trey Thomas, whatever. I don't even know what my Twitter handle is. I don't, but it's
This thing
whatever, man.
be fine.
I ain't hard to find. I am not hard to find. But yeah, man, that's it. And then, hey, come to Pino's Palette, in Cherry Hill. So we're always in here painting, man. So it's kind of like our thing to do,
Next
man.
time I come
What are
up
you
there,
going to be
I'm
painting
coming up
today?
there, man.
I'm going to work on a painting that we're doing Friday. You know what I'm saying? So,
You know, it's
like,
fine.
what I like to do is come in here and work on a painting that we have coming up. If I feel good about it, I'll teach it. If not, then I let our other artists jump on it. But it's fun, man. It's something that I never thought I'd be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I really enjoy painting now.
That's awesome, brother. That's
You just got to
Yeah.
awesome.
find that thing that brings you peace, brother.
Yeah, it's fun. Like
Peace, man.
I would much rather do this than to sit out on the golf course, dude. Like I come in here, pop open a bottle of wine, throw some paint on the canvas, get creative, and just enjoy myself.
Man, listen,
Yeah,
I just started back playing golf last year after like 20 something years off.
yeah, man.
And same thing with me. I usually try to find something else, man, because golf
Uh,
is just so frustrating, man.
yeah, it's so frustrating.
Uh,
Then, like being here, man. By the time you get good, snow hit the ground, and I'm
the
like,
snow
man,
hits the ground,
you
but
know
you
what I'm
know where
saying?
I am. I'm in the
Yeah,
Charlotte area. I
you
can keep
always got
going.
great weather, But here, I'm
Yes.
like, man, my back starts getting tight. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, what am I doing this for? Like, like it was cool, like when I got decent at it, but then like once you go out there and you like, all right, I'm feeling good, and then you shoot 100 and something, you're like, man, damn this, man, I threw my clubs in
Yeah,
my garage, man.
dude,
Man,
exactly.
I'm done, man.
You
I'm done with
for
this.
me, it's round to round. It's like, oh man, I hit that thing right. And
Man,
the next round, it's like, yo, I can't hit it off the tee. It's
man.
it's it, it's. I grew up a huge basketball player, right?
Mm,
And when you're playing bad in basketball, you can just get aggressive, tighten up
mm,
on D, get some rebound, not put someone out of bounds, not like Draymond. But
yeah.
you can't do that in golf. You
No,
cannot get aggressive.
nah,
It's a
nah,
completely different. And
nah.
now it's over. Your day is ruined. Now you
Yeah,
want like 12 more beers. You're
Yeah.
hammered at the end of the day. You've been playing for hours. You're
Yeah.
old as hell. So, like Trey said, your back hurts.
Yeah.
And now you just go throw your clubs in the garage. Just
Yeah,
to
I'm
toss
done.
it.
Then
I'm
I got to
done.
go. I got to go home, lay down. I got to have my feet above my heart at 90 degrees. You know what I'm saying? To take some pressure off my back. Man, I'm done, man. I'm like, man, I ain't done, man.
I'm done.
Yeah, man. Find something else to do. So I paint,
Yeah.
man. It's cool. It's what I enjoy. Yeah.
You paint. I got into books, man, and I used to get migraines a lot,
Mm,
and so one of the things that I got glasses, and we thought that would help, but I still got headaches. So my
mm.
doctor was like, "Why don't you try audiobooks, bro?" I listen to a book a day.
Oh, okay.
I've gotten into books, and I listen to a book a day, and it could be anything. I listen to somebody recommends something to me, I'll
Mm,
catch it on Audible or Kindle with the sound with the talk,
mm,
and I listen to books.
mm.
I'll listen to books. That's what I do for
That's awesome.
my relaxation.
That's what's
Yeah,
up, man. Cool.
yeah.
All
But
right,
hey, man,
man. Well,
go
hey, man.
Birds!
Anytime y'all in the area, man, come check me out, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whenever you come up
I'm
here,
definitely gonna be hitting you up. I ain't too far from you. I'm like right in Philadelphia Mills Mall. I ain't that far.
okay, yeah,
When I
come on.
come back up, I'll hit you up, man.
Yeah, man, come on
I've
out,
only been
man.
up once
Yeah,
this
we definitely
year.
gotta link
So.
up and do something for
Yeah,
real.
yeah. Bring a bottle of wine, man. Come throw some paint on the canvas. Come hang out.
No doubt.
Sounds like a
All right.
plan. We'll work something out.
All right,
All right,
cool, man.
guys.
Y'all take
All
care, man.
right.
Appreciate y'all. All right.
All right, Trey. Have a good one.
All right, you
All
too.
right, brothers. Be good.
All right, you
With
too.
that being said, we will be back next week, and we'll catch you guys on a rebound. Make sure you're checking us out on the Fantasy Sports Network, and make sure you guys are checking out the new merch store. Check that out.